let's jump into this. So I recently had that video out talking about the 3 different proposals on the table right now to raise Social Security, SSDI, survivors, SSI, and maybe even VA benefits. Well, with that video, I also received a lot of comments and questions, as well as people reaching out to me through email asking, hey, here's my situation, can you explain a little bit further? So, as I said in that video, if I need to make a follow-up video to answer additional questions or to elaborate further, I would do so. So, here I am, check it out. Anyway, let me run through this and help you out even further. So I've had a number of people reaching out to me saying, hey, I receive Social Security and SSI benefits simultaneously. This is also called concurrent claims. That's kind of like the fancy word that they call it, concurrent claims. So yes, if you didn't know this, you can actually receive Social Security benefits and SSI benefits simultaneously. Now, this is not for everybody. This is generally for those people who have smaller Social Security benefits, and then they get a little bit of a SSI supplement on top of that to bring their benefits up a little bit more. And of course, you would need to be within the income thresholds and the allowances for assets, things like that. So again, it's not for everybody, but if you get a very low Social Security benefit, you may be eligible to receive an SSI benefit on top of that, right? So, nice little cherry on top for those of you. But anyway, the question comes in saying, let me back up. If we get a raise on these benefits, Social Security, retirement, disability, survivors, SSI, VA, and I also get SSI on top of my regular benefit, will I get a raise on both benefits? That's actually a really good question. Let me talk through this a little bit further. Here's the thing. I'm going to be totally honest with you right now. We don't know that answer. Why don't we know that answer? Because it was not included. Like, it was not specified in these proposals. They did not say, hey, for people receiving concurrent claims, they'll get a boost on both their benefits. It did not say anything like that. However, let's talk through this, and let's kind of explain this in such a way that how we understand Social Security, and for those people receiving concurrent claims, like what is the whole purpose of getting both claims at the same time? And then we can probably deduct a good assumption from that to determine, will you get both raises or not? Okay, so let's just kind of talk through this logically. And again, this has not been determined 100%, and they did not elaborate on this, but like I said, let's just kind of talk through this logically with what we know. So here's the thing. If you receive Social Security and SSI simultaneously, the whole purpose of that is for those people who typically receive a Social Security benefit under the SSI benefit level of $794, typically what happens is, provided your income and your assets are below the levels, or within the levels I should say, then you could potentially get that SSI topper on top of your Social Security benefit to bring you up to that $794 per month level. So let's just say, for example, let's say you receive $600 per month from Social Security. Well, provided you're within the limits, you could potentially get an additional $194 per month on top of your Social Security to bring you up to that $794 benefit level for SSI. Does that make sense? So you'd get that extra $194 on your benefit from SSI to bring you up to the $794. I hope that makes sense. So basically, let's talk through this. If they were to boost benefits up to, let's just say, 100% of the federal poverty level as they've introduced and as they are proposing for SSI beneficiaries, what would happen then? Would you get a boost on both of your benefits and bring you up to, say, $1,073 like we've talked about according to my calculations, and then even more because of the boost. Well, no, I honestly don't really think that's gonna how it's gonna work. Basically, what I think they're gonna do is, if they happen to introduce and actually implement these raises, typically what would happen is they'd probably keep you your Social Security benefit, whatever it happened to be, and if you weren't at 100% of the federal poverty level or the new SSI benefit number, whatever that would be, like $1,073, then basically what they would do is they would just top off your Social Security benefit to like that SSI level, just like they're currently doing now. So basically it'd bring your benefit up to about $1,073 per month. Now again, I know it's really confusing. I know there's a lot of numbers wrapped around all this, but that's basically how this whole thing would probably shake out at the end of the day. So if your Social Security benefit is below that new level that they are introducing of $1,073, basically they would just say, hey, your benefit from Social Security is lower, let's just give you the topping off from SSI to bring you up to that 100% of the federal poverty level, which would be about $1,073, like I said, according to my calculations. Which basically how I found that is I took the federal poverty level, which I basically just went online and I searched federal poverty level, and it gave me a number of 12,880, and then I divided it by 12, bringing me to $1,073 a month. That's how I came up with that number, by the way. And of course, their calculations are always a little bit different than ours. I'm not sure how they get their numbers or where they get their numbers from, but they're always a little bit different than ours. Probably a difference of a few dollars, but either way, it's about that same range. So if you're somebody getting concurrent benefits, Social Security and SSI simultaneously, are you going to get a boost on both your benefits? I mean, possibly, but I think at the end of the day, what would probably likely happen is that you're just going to get boosted up to the new SSI benefit, whatever that would be, about that $1,073, as I've been saying. That's how I would anticipate it being, once again, just like it is operating right now, right? So you get your benefit, it brings you up to the SSI level of $794. I would guess it's the exact same thing with the benefit. So, will you ultimately get a boost on your benefits if you receive both benefits, Social Security and SSI? Yeah, I would say probably you would. Yep, you probably would. However, you would probably be brought up to the 1,073, right? So, I know it's incredibly confusing. I know I keep going back and forth talking through this, but realistically, we're kind of talking through this together at the same time. I mean, there's no evidence of them saying like, yeah, we're gonna boost all the benefits across the board and everyone receiving concurrent benefits is gonna get like $3,000 a month. No, no, unfortunately, it would be awesome if that happened, but no, it's not gonna work that way, not at all. So, like I said, kind of just walking through this with you together, kind of just off the fly, kind of just laying out these different scenarios. So that's how I would anticipate this. But of course, we need to wait for further information and language on all of this. As they're currently proposing it, they're basically just saying, hey, we don't want anybody with disabilities or older adults to be living in poverty during this portion of their life. People with disabilities or older adults. So let's just boost it to 100% of the federal poverty level. That's basically all they're saying in this proposal. They didn't elaborate like, concurrent claims, let's do this for them. They didn't say any of that, not a single word about concurrent claims in there. So for those of you who have been asking, I hope this answers your question. And for those of you who just wonder about the raises for all these benefits, Social Security, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA, check out that video that I released just recently talking about these raises for all of these benefits. Now I just want to make it very clear also, this proposal is still on the table right now. Actually, all three of these proposals that I talked about in that other video. These are all still on the table right now, but you never know when they could potentially grab one of these proposals and say, hey, I got it, let's run with it. You never know. That's why these proposals are still on the table. You just honestly never know when they're going to grab one and start working on it and actually start pushing it through. Maybe it'll make its way into this next infrastructure package. We don't know. It depends on how they want to approach it, but hopefully sooner than later, they will start to reform Social Security and start giving everybody the benefits that they actually need during this time. What's actually interesting about this is Social Security and SSI, these programs have not been reformed literally in like ages and ages and ages. They're not keeping up with the times. So as all of us know, prices continue to rise. Everything is becoming more and more expensive right now. But what is not changing? Yeah, you called it, your Social Security or SSI benefit. Nothing is changing there except for a tiny, pathetic COLA raise each and every year that's like 1%. I mean, that doesn't cut it anymore. Seriously, 1% simply does not cut it anymore when we're seeing inflation on a month-over-month basis of nearly 1%. You know what I mean? It's just simply not cutting it anymore. So, again, for those of you who asked these questions, I hope this answers your question a little bit. Of course, we don't know the actual answer to this yet, but I just wanted to walk through some scenarios with you and kind of lay this whole thing out and say, you know, here's what's likely to happen. We don't know for sure until we see the final language on this thing within the bill.